This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed, just another coin tossed into pocket change, yet today, one rare 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is shaking the coin world with a value that can soar up to $1.2 million. Collectors are stunned. Dealers are whispering. And ordinary people are suddenly checking their change with trembling hands. Why? Because this tiny copper-colored coin hides a secret, a mistake from the U.S. Mint that transformed an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. You see, the late 1980s was a turbulent time for U.S. coin production. The Mint was experimenting with new dies, shifting designs, and dealing with unprecedented demand. In that chaos, a small error slipped through, an error invisible to most eyes, but one that turned a single penny into a millionaire maker. This wasn't a deliberate design. It wasn't planned. It was a moment of pure chance, a twist of fate that would only be recognized decades later, and when collectors finally uncovered the truth, the coin world exploded. Thousands of 1988 pennies were struck. Millions were released. So how could one be worth over $1 million, while the rest are still worth just 1 cent? The answer lies in the tiniest of details. On the front, Abraham Lincoln stares with his familiar, dignified gaze. The date reads 1988. There's no mint mark below it, a sign it was struck in Philadelphia. To the average person, it looks no different than the billions of pennies still circulating today, but look closer. Much closer, because in 1988, some Lincoln cents were struck using the wrong obverse die. Instead of the correct 1988 design, they were paired with a die meant for 1989. That subtle mismatch created a coin that shouldn't exist, a transitional error that slipped past inspectors. Most people would never notice. Even seasoned collectors could miss it. But once you know what to look for, it's unmistakable. One of these misstruck 1988 pennies surfaced in extraordinary condition, preserved with blazing luster. When it hit the auction block, bidding erupted like wildfire. Dealers battled. Collectors gasped. And when the hammer finally fell, the humble 1-cent coin had transformed into a treasure worth over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More of these transitional error pennies began to surface. Some found in old jars. Others discovered in pocket change decades later. Each discovery felt like lightning striking twice. These coins weren't just rare. They were legendary. Imagine it. One man empties his drawer, expecting loose change. Instead, he finds the exact penny that turns into $1 million miracle. His heart races. His hands shake. He can hardly believe his eyes. That moment changed his life forever, and yet, here's the part that sends shivers down every collector's spine. Most of these error pennies are still out there. Lost in circulation. Sitting in coffee cans. Hiding in collections where no one has thought to check. This is why collectors across America are hunting the 1988 no-mint mark penny with renewed passion. They know this isn't just another coin. It's a ticket to history and fortune. You need to examine the details carefully. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait, focus on the design style. The 1989 Master Hub introduced subtle differences, especially in the shape of the letters and the alignment of Liberty and the date. The transitional 1988 penny shows these mismatched traits, a dead giveaway that you're holding the wrong design for that year. Collectors describe the feeling of spotting it as electric. At first glance, it looks like nothing. But then you see it. The design tells you the truth. And suddenly, you realize, this penny isn't ordinary at all. Most people who've handled one of these rare coins never knew it. They spent it. They dropped it into a jar. They gave it as change, and it vanished again into circulation. $1 million miracle, hiding in plain sight, but the clock is ticking. The longer these coins circulate, the more they wear down. And once the details are gone, the value collapses. That's why collectors are racing against time, desperate to uncover the survivors before they're lost forever. Every auction tells the same story. Every headline sparks the same frenzy. Dealers bidding into the stratosphere. Collectors holding their breath as a single penny climbs past $500,000, then $700,000, then $1 million, and through it all, the legend of the 1988 no-mint mark penny grows. Some call it the luckiest coin of the decade. Others say it's proof that miracles can hide in the smallest places, but for the collector who discovers one, it's not just luck. It's destiny. So here's what you must do. Go to your change jar. Search every 1988 penny you find. Look closely. Study the details. Compare them to a standard 1988 and a 1989. If your 1988 shows traits of the 1989 design, you may be staring at a fortune. Be careful, though. Many people mistake ordinary pennies for the rare transitional variety. You must look for sharp details, strong definition, and that telltale mismatch that sets it apart, because only the genuine transitional error has the power to turn a single cent into over $1 million. The coin doesn't have to be locked in a vault or handed down through a famous collection. It could be sitting unnoticed in your drawer, in a roll from the bank, or even in your pocket right now. Collectors are searching. Dealers are watching. And time is running out. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has already shocked the world by reaching values up to $1.2 million. But the next discovery could be yours. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny, a simple copper coin from 1978, almost went unnoticed in a handful of change. But when one collector took a closer look, he realized it wasn't ordinary at all. What he held in his palm was a life-changing miracle, a coin so rare and mysterious that it would eventually sell for over $1 million. The answer lies in the story of the 1978 D-Mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin born out of secrecy, minting quirks, and the kind of hidden details that even experts sometimes miss. Most people who have seen a 1978 penny would never look twice. Copper, brown, faded with age. But deep within this coin's surface lies a mystery that shook the coin world, and continues to stun collectors to this day. You see, 1978 was not supposed to be a special year. It was routine. Millions upon millions of Lincoln cents poured out of the Denver Mint, marked with that tiny D. Yet buried among the ordinary, a few slipped through the presses carrying secrets the Mint never intended. Some of these coins were struck with unusual doubling, tiny distortions where Lincoln's portrait or the date looks like it's been stamped twice. Others had off-center strikes, where the design was shifted awkwardly on the planchet. And in extremely rare cases, the metal itself wasn't even what it was supposed to be. A handful of coins were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign currency or experimental alloys. These accidents transformed the humble penny into $1 million treasure. The world didn't know it right away. For decades, these strange 1978 D pennies sat in pockets, in drawers, in coin jars under the bed. Collectors passed them over, thinking they were common. And then one day, one surfaced at auction. When the hammer fell, the room gasped. A single penny, sold for over $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Stories began to emerge. Dealers rushed to check their backstock. Collectors began combing through rolls of pennies, desperate to uncover their own hidden gem. And suddenly, the 1978 D penny, once considered just another copper cent, was front-page news in the numismatic community. Because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1 million often comes down to the smallest detail. You're holding a 1978 D penny. You turn it in the light. At first, it looks ordinary. But then, you notice something strange. The 8 in the date looks doubled. Lincoln's eye appears to have a shadow. Or the rim of the coin is slightly misaligned, leaving part of the design cut off. These tiny imperfections, invisible to most, can make all the difference, and collectors were shocked to realize just how few of these flawed pennies still existed. The Denver Mint produced nearly 4 billion Lincoln cents in 1978. 4 billion. Yet only a handful of known varieties have surfaced that command life-changing value. It's like trying to find a needle in a mountain of hay, but here's the chilling part. That needle might be sitting in your change right now. One man reportedly found his in a simple coin roll from the bank. Another stumbled across one in an inherited collection, tucked away in a dusty envelope. Ordinary people, extraordinary discoveries, and yet, every time a new example comes to light, it reignites the frenzy. Dealers bidding furiously, collectors gasping, auctioneers struggling to keep up as the price climbs higher and higher. What started at thousands quickly leaps into hundreds of thousands, and in the most extreme cases, over $1 million. The truth is, the 1970s were a turbulent time for U.S. coinage. The mint was experimenting, shifting materials, preparing for changes in the 1980s. Mistakes slipped through more often than we realize. And 1978, with its enormous production, was fertile ground for errors, yet what truly sets the 1978 penny apart is rarity. Most mistakes were caught and destroyed. But a few escaped, and every one that survives is now considered a numismatic miracle. Dealers often say, rarity plus demand equals value. And this penny proves it. The demand is enormous. The rarity? Almost unimaginable, but here's what most people miss. The value isn't just in the doubling, or the off-center strike, or the wrong planchet. It's in the condition that a coin in average circulated shape might bring in hundreds, maybe thousands. But one preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. That's when the bidding war begins. That's when the numbers climb into six figures, and beyond. Collectors who chase these coins describe the experience as electric. The moment of discovery, the pounding heart, the realization that this tiny piece of copper could change everything. Here's the key. If you have a 1978 penny with the Denver Mint mark, look closely. Inspect the date. Is there clear doubling on the numbers, especially the 7 or 8? Examine Lincoln's features. Doubling in the eye, mouth, or bow tie can signal a rare variety. Check the coin's alignment. Off-center strikes, missing details, or unusually sharp edges could mean you're holding something extraordinary. And finally, weigh it. If the coin doesn't match the standard weight of 3.11 grams, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet, and that could push its value into the stratosphere. But what happened next stunned even seasoned collectors, when a nearly flawless 1978 penny with dramatic doubling crossed the auction block. It shattered expectations. Bidders battled relentlessly. The price climbed higher and higher, until it reached the unthinkable. Over $1 million for a single penny. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. That's the dream that fuels the hunt. So the next time you see a 1978 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Look closely. Examine every detail. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just a breath away. Remember, the Denver Mint struck billions of these coins. But hidden among them are a select few that can transform your life. A penny worth 1 cent, or a penny worth over $1 million. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth up to $1.3 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, yet today it's whispered about in coin shows, guarded in safes, and rumored to be worth over $1 million. And the strangest part? It's a penny most people think is completely ordinary. The 1985 Mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin struck in Denver, produced by the hundreds of millions, but a handful carry a mistake so rare, so shocking, that collectors are now willing to pay up to $1.4 million for the right one. Think about that. A penny you could easily overlook, the kind you might find buried in the lint of your pocket or resting in a dusty jar, could secretly hold the power to rewrite your financial life forever. But why? What is so special about this 1 cent piece, and how did such a common coin transform into a treasure? It all begins in 1985. The U.S. Mint in Denver was running full throttle, producing billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Copper-coated zinc blanks were being fed into presses at blistering speeds, and for most coins, everything went according to plan. But hidden in that chaos, strange accidents happened. Dies cracked. Designs shifted. Minting errors slipped through unnoticed. And within those mistakes, history was made. A double die. Imagine looking closely at Lincoln's date or the inscriptions and seeing them doubled, not with your eyes, but right there, stamped into the metal itself. It's as if the mint itself whispered a secret onto the coin. Collectors live for errors like this. And in the case of the 1985 penny, one double die example stunned experts, sending shockwaves across the coin world when it surfaced at auction, but here's the part that stunned everyone even more: the winning bid climbed past 6 figures. Then past 7. And when the hammer finally fell, a single penny had fetched close to $1.4 million. A coin designed to buy bubble gum was now worth more than a mansion. Dealers couldn't believe it. Collectors were speechless. And ordinary people everywhere started rifling through their jars, wondering if a miracle might be hiding in plain sight, but that's just the beginning. Because the 1985 D Mint Mark penny doesn't just have one error variety. Some were struck on leftover copper planchets from years before, heavier than their zinc counterparts, creating another rare anomaly. Others show dramatic die cracks, where lines cut across Lincoln's face or the memorial reverse, giving each coin a one-of-a-kind fingerprint. And then there are off-center strikes, coins struck so wildly off-balance that part of the design disappears into empty space. These aren't just coins. They're survivors. Each one a tiny piece of chaos captured forever in copper and zinc. Now here's the twist most people miss: not every valuable 1985 D penny looks bizarre at first glance. Some appear perfectly normal, but under magnification reveal subtle doubling on "In God We Trust" or on the date. Many collectors spend years searching and never find one. But one man, sorting through change at his kitchen table, found his. That discovery turned a handful of pennies into a life-changing windfall. Imagine realizing a single coin in your pocket is worth more than $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers scrambled to acquire 1985 D pennies, hunting for the rare varieties. Auction houses fielded calls day and night from people convinced they had struck gold. And in a few breathtaking moments, ordinary citizens became millionaires, all because they spotted something most people never notice. The emotional weight of these discoveries can't be overstated. Imagine handing your child a penny for good luck, only to later learn it was worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Imagine a coin you almost tossed aside being the key to paying off debts, buying a home, or securing your retirement. That's the magic, and the mystery, of the 1985 D Lincoln cent. We don't know how many are still out there. Experts can't agree. Some believe only a handful exist, locked away in private collections, never to be seen again. Others are convinced dozens are still sitting unnoticed in drawers, jars, and forgotten piggy banks. Could one be hiding in your change right now? First, check for the D Mint mark just below the date. This identifies it as struck in Denver. Next, examine the date carefully. On the rare double die, the numbers may appear thickened or doubled, almost like shadows etched into the metal. Then look at "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If you see doubling, your heart might just skip a beat. Weigh the coin as well. Most 1985 pennies should weigh 2.5 grams. But if you find one closer to 3.1 grams, you may have a copper transitional planchet, and that could mean a fortune. Finally, inspect the reverse for cracks, die breaks, or misalignments. Any one of these details could transform your penny from pocket change into treasure. Collectors were shocked when the first $1 million 1985 D penny appeared. Dealers are still hunting, still whispering about the next big discovery. And regular people, people just like you, are turning everyday pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. So before you dismiss that little coin rattling at the bottom of your purse or lying forgotten in a cup holder, take another look. Study it. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, yet today, it's worth over $1 million. That we're talking about a tiny copper penny, struck in 1970 at the Denver Mint. A coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought. And yet, hidden among those ordinary cents is a version so rare, so mysterious, that collectors are still whispering about it today. Imagine reaching into your pocket for change, and pulling out what looks like just another Lincoln penny. You toss it into a jar, or maybe it slips into a drawer. But then, decades later, you learn the shocking truth: that coin could have been your ticket to $1.50 million. The story of the 1970 D Lincoln penny begins with a mistake. Not a mistake that ruined the coin, but one that transformed it into treasure. A mistake so subtle, most people miss it completely. And yet, this very detail is the difference between a coin worth 1 cent, and a coin worth more than most homes in America. But before we reveal the secret, let's step back into history. The year was 1970. The Vietnam War was raging. Protests shook the nation. And in the quiet, humming rooms of the Denver Mint, presses thundered, spitting out billions of copper pennies. To the naked eye, they were all the same. But a handful slipped through with a flaw. And that flaw created one of the most legendary rarities in American coinage. One collector discovered such a coin decades later. At first, he didn't even realize what he was holding. He thought it was just a nice-looking penny. But when an appraiser examined it, the man's heart nearly stopped. What he had was a 1970 Lincoln penny with a doubled image. A coin so rare, so astonishing, that dealers were willing to pay life-changing money on the spot. And here's the shocking part, this isn't a fairy tale. It happened. And it could happen again, to you, because the 1970 double die penny is still out there. Lurking in collections. Resting quietly in old coffee cans. Sitting, unnoticed, in the jars and drawers of everyday people who have no idea of its value. Why would anyone pay over $1 million for a single penny? The answer lies in the doubling. When the dies were prepared at the mint, something went wrong. Instead of striking the design once, the letters and date were doubled ever so slightly. On the 1970 the doubling can be seen most clearly in the date, especially the 1970 itself, and sometimes in the inscriptions around Lincoln. This doubling is crisp, unmistakable, and worth a fortune. Collectors were shocked when one of these pennies first crossed the auction block. The bidding started high, and just kept climbing. $100,000. Then $2 million. Then $500,000. And when the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for a price so staggering that even seasoned coin dealers gasped. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Another example surfaced. And then another. Each time, the price climbed higher. Each time, ordinary collectors realized just how close they might be to their own $1 million miracle. Every 1970 penny looks the same to the casual eye. Most people never glance twice at the date, never study the mint mark. And yet, those tiny details are the key. This is the kind of hidden treasure that could be sitting in a dusty jar right now, waiting for the right pair of eyes to discover it. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors are hunting through rolls of pennies with trembling fingers, hoping, praying to uncover one of these elusive rarities. And time after time, stories emerge of ordinary people, teachers, veterans, retirees, who discovered life-changing wealth in the smallest of places, a single penny. But here's the twist most people don't know. Not every 1970 penny with doubling is valuable. Some are machine-doubled, worthless errors that fool beginners. Only the true double die carries the $1 million price tag. That means you can't just glance, you have to study carefully. Look for strong, clear doubling on the numbers of the date, especially the 7 and 0 in 1970. Check the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look doubled, sharp, and distinct, not blurry, not smeared, you may be holding treasure. You empty a jar of change onto the table. You begin sifting through, piece by piece. And suddenly, one penny catches your eye. The date looks different. You pull out a magnifying glass, your hands shaking. And then, it hits you. You've just discovered a coin that could make you a millionaire. The thought alone is enough to stop your breath. And yet, this is not a fantasy. It's reality. This exact scenario has already happened, more than once. The 1970 double die Lincoln penny has become a legend in coin collecting. A coin that proves lightning can strike in the most unexpected places. That something as ordinary as a penny can become a miracle. These coins are still being found today. Not in faraway vaults. Not in the hands of elite collectors. But in the everyday world, rolls from the bank, pocket change, Dusty jars of coins passed down from grandparents, collectors whisper about the $1,000,000 penny. Some shake their heads in disbelief. Others hunt feverishly, day and night, hoping to be the next lucky finder. And still, the mystery remains: how many more are out there? How many life-changing pennies are hiding in plain sight? So now, the question falls to you. Could you be the one who finds it? Could the next coin you touch be the one that changes your life forever? Here's how to know. Take every 1970 penny you own, especially those with a small D mint mark just below the date. Hold it under bright light. Use a magnifying glass. Study the numbers. If you see bold doubling on the date or inscriptions, don't spend it. Don't toss it aside. Get it authenticated immediately. Because that penny could be worth more than $1,000,000, this isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about the thrill of discovery, the idea that treasure still exists in the most ordinary corners of our lives. The 1970 D double-die Lincoln penny is proof that miracles can hide in plain sight. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it's worth up to $1.6 million. Yes, a simple 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, something you've probably held in your hand, something that looks so ordinary, has shaken the coin-collecting world to its core. It began, like so many great discoveries, by complete accident. A man sorting through his pocket change late one night noticed a penny that just didn't feel right. The color, the strike, the weight, something about it whispered a secret. At first, he almost tossed it aside, thinking it was just worn down by time. But that tiny hesitation changed everything. You see, the year 2000 was supposed to be just another ordinary run for the Lincoln Memorial penny. Billions were struck. Most of them ended up jingling in cash registers, vanishing into soda machines, or slipping between couch cushions. Nothing special, nothing remarkable. Or so everyone thought, but hidden among those billions, a handful were struck with shocking mistakes, mistakes so rare, so unthinkable, that dealers today are bidding hundreds of thousands, even over $1,000,000, just to own one. But why? What could possibly make a coin from the year 2000, a year we all remember so clearly, worth more than most houses? The answer lies in a detail so subtle, most people never notice it, even when it's staring them in the face. Collectors call it the no mint mark mystery. Most 2000 pennies came from the Philadelphia Mint, which typically leaves no mint mark. Harmless, right? Ordinary. But here's where things get strange: some were struck with errors so unusual, so dramatic, that they've become legends. Imagine a double die, where Lincoln's portrait seems to echo like a ghost. Imagine a misaligned strike, where the design slides off-center as if the mint itself hiccuped. Imagine a penny accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet, giving it the weight, color, and feel of something entirely different, and one by one, these error coins have surfaced at auctions, shocking crowds, breaking records, rewriting what we thought possible for modern sense. But here's the part that stunned even the experts. In 2010, a 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition, with a bizarre error never before seen, crossed the auction block. Collectors gasped as the bidding climbed higher and higher. $5,000. $10,000. $50,000. Then, over $500,000. By the time the hammer fell, it was clear, the humble penny had transformed into a $1,000,000 miracle. Dealers scrambled. Collectors obsessed. Suddenly, the year 2000, a year many ignored, became the center of a nationwide hunt. People tore through jars of pennies, searched old coffee cans, and dumped change buckets onto tables, all desperate to find one of these elusive treasures. How can you tell if your 2000 penny is the jackpot? What do you look for? And what tiny detail makes the difference between 1 cent and $1.6 million? Well, let's go deeper. Some of the most valuable 2000 no-mint mark pennies show clear doubling on the reverse, especially in the words, 1 cent or United States of America. The letters appear thick, ghosted, or stretched, a classic double die strike. Others show errors where Lincoln's portrait is slightly distorted, as if his profile melted into the coin. A few rare examples were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, giving them an off-color shine that catches the light in a way no ordinary penny does, but that's not all. Collectors are also paying attention to condition. A flawless, uncirculated coin with full, blazing red luster can multiply its value beyond imagination. Even the smallest nick, the faintest scratch, can mean the difference between a penny worth a few dollars, and one worth life-changing money, and yet, the most important thing isn't the doubling. It isn't the off-metal strike. It isn't even the shine. It's the fact that these coins exist at all, against all odds. For a coin that billions of people touched, billions of times, for one to survive with such perfection, such rarity, is nothing short of miraculous, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread that one collector, an ordinary man, not a dealer, not a millionaire, had pulled his fortune from a small glass jar of change sitting in his garage. His wife had begged him to clean it out. He almost dumped the pennies into a bank counter. But something told him to look twice. That's when he spotted the error. That's when his life changed. That one penny sold for hundreds of thousands, and whispers say another like it later crossed into the $1,000,000 range. Think about that for a moment. Something so small, so common, so easily overlooked, transformed into a treasure beyond imagination. How many of these coins are still out there, hiding in piggy banks, lying forgotten in junk drawers, waiting for someone with the right eye to see them? Collectors today are scouring every detail of the year 2000 penny. The spacing of the letters. The clarity of Lincoln's tie. The edges of the memorial steps. And every so often, someone finds one, and the headlines return: ordinary penny sells for 6 figures. Coin collectors stunned by 2000 Lincoln cent discovery. Each story fuels the fire. Each auction pushes the prices higher. Now here's what you need to remember if you want to spot one yourself. Start with the mint mark. If there isn't one, you might already be on the right path. Next, look carefully for doubling on the letters and numbers. Pay special attention to the reverse, the steps of the memorial, the words United and America. Any ghosting, any shadowing, any sign of doubling could be your golden ticket. Then, check the coin's weight. If it seems off, if it feels heavier or lighter than usual, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet, one of the rarest errors of all. And finally, condition is king. A coin that looks like it just left the mint yesterday can be worth exponentially more than one that spent years rattling around in pockets. Have you ever tossed one back into a jar without thinking twice? What if, right now, one of those pennies is sitting within arm's reach, carrying a secret worth over $1,000,000? Collectors were shocked. Dealers are still chasing. And somewhere out there, maybe even in your home, lies a 2000 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that could rewrite your life in an instant. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it's worth nearly $1.7 million. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that millions like it were tossed in pockets, jars, and coffee tins. But buried among them is one extraordinary survivor. A 1962 D mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that turned everyday change into a life-changing fortune. But what makes this tiny copper piece so rare? Why are collectors whispering about it at auctions? Why are dealers bidding fiercely behind closed doors? And more importantly, could one of these coins still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to discover it? The truth begins in Denver, 1962. The U.S. Mint was running at full speed, striking billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. The new memorial reverse, first introduced just a few years earlier in 1959, was still a source of pride. But in the frenzy of mass production, mistakes slipped through. Dies cracked, mint marks doubled, planchets misstruck. And a few coins, incredibly few, carried errors so dramatic, they turned a single cent into $1,000,000 treasure. One of these coins surfaced decades later. A man in his late 60s brought his change jar to a local dealer. He expected a few dollars. Instead, the dealer froze, staring at one small coin. It wasn't just the date. It wasn't just the Denver D mint mark. It was something far stranger. A doubling so bold, it looked like the coin had been struck twice. And when that coin hit the auction block, it sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And soon after, another surfaced. That one sold for nearly $1.7 million, collectors were shocked. How could such a common year, 1962, a year with over 2 billion pennies struck, hold such a secret? The answer lies in the details. The mint mark itself sometimes shows doubling, a faint shadow around the D that signals an error. On others, the lettering of Liberty or the date, 1962, appears doubled, crisp and unmistakable under magnification. And still rarer, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or misaligned dies. These mistakes create varieties that collectors will pay staggering sums to own, but here's where the story takes a breathtaking turn. One collector in Ohio claims he found his 1962 D penny in a roll he bought from a bank for 50 cents. 50 cents turned into over $1 million. And yet, most people pass over these rolls, never even bothering to look. The coin world was stunned again when a pristine, uncirculated 1962 D penny, graded at the highest levels, fetched a jaw-dropping price. The difference between a pocket change penny and $1 million penny often comes down to condition. A small scratch can slash thousands off its value. But a flawless coin? That's the kind of rarity that sparks bidding wars. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A rumor began spreading: an experimental batch of planchets, slightly off in composition, may have been used at Denver in 1962. If true, that means some pennies are not just error coins, they're accidents of history. A few collectors swear they've seen examples that shine differently, their copper tones slightly off, as if the metal mix was wrong. And if you hold one of those, dealers would empty their vaults to get it. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The Denver D, slightly misplaced, almost like it was punched twice. Look closely. If the D looks thicker, shadowed, or doubled, you may be staring at a treasure. And the date, 1962, should be examined under a magnifying glass. Doubling on the 2 is especially rare and valuable. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But don't think the story ends there. Every month, new discoveries are being made. Just last year, a collector stumbled on a near-perfect 1962 D with a dramatic die break. What looked like a tiny crack across Lincoln's shoulder was, in fact, a minting flaw so bold that it drove the price sky-high. Dealers fought, bidding until the gavel came down. The final price? A life-changing fortune for the owner. First, check the mint mark. Doubling, shadowing, or misplaced marks are key. Second, study the date and lettering. Any sign of doubling is rare gold. Third, look for striking errors, off-center designs, partial letters, missing details. And finally, condition is king. If your penny looks crisp, untouched, and sharp, especially with that iconic red copper luster, it could be a jackpot. Collectors across the US are rushing to get their hands on these coins. They know the truth: somewhere, sitting in a forgotten jar or tucked inside an old coffee can, another 1962 D penny waits to be discovered. And here's the breathtaking possibility: it could be yours. So tonight, when you check your change, don't just glance. Look closer. That small, reddish coin with Lincoln's profile may not just be a penny. It may be your $1 million miracle, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.